next guest is a faith-based women's group based right here in Charleston. They're called the Palmetto Women's Collective, and they sure would love to have you join them.
This is Charleston Women Podcast, where you can meet like-minded, strong, independent, professional, and inspiring local women. This is Charleston Women Podcast.
Now, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the Charleston Women's Podcast. We've got Stephanie Czerwinski and Katie Finch. Ladies, so good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us, Erin.
Absolutely. You know, I think first of all, you do a great job of creating buzz, because I feel like the Palmetto Women's Collective has, a name around town. At least I've, heard of it. I see it a lot of places, which is great. So just take me back to like the very beginning and the founding of this group and what inspired you to start it.
It's so funny you say that. I mean, you were aware of all the women's entrepreneur events that I hosted in conjunction with Katie several years ago. And it's just funny to see how it was just a natural fit as we moved on and moved away from that platform into this platform. We wanted to create something year round. There's so many different events you go to once a year, sometimes twice a year, but people and more specifically women are looking for that continual community. And that's exactly what Katie and I, a series of carpool lines before you get the kids and phone calls and prayer and all that. We launched Palmetto Women's Collective, which is the space for a year-round connection for women. And it's really neat to see how it has just exploded.
It really has. And, there's a lot of women's groups out there. So what would you say, let's say someone new to Charleston's listening to this and is like, well, what makes this one unique or different? Like, how are you creating space for women?
Honestly, it's the authenticity of the women that sit at the table. I think you really get to know someone when you break bread and have a meal together, more so than you would at like a trade show or a traditional networking, card swapping kind of event. So we care more about the person than necessarily their endeavors, because that flows naturally after we get to know someone. And honestly, all of the women are so welcoming. Like we always say, you're invited to sit at our table. It's not about how much money you make or how many followers you have. It's just about you as a human. And having Christ at the center of our business and our lives makes a big difference.
Right. So you keep saying sit at the table. Is that how every time you meet, are we eating? Are we sitting down and chatting? Like, how does it work?
Sure. Yeah, whether it's a monthly lunch that we do or, a coffee and prayer event, a Bible study, just coming around whenever. There's so many different ways that we meet throughout the month. It is. I mean, there's something to be said for when you gather at a table, it's intimate and relationships are formed and it's authentic. And that's what's really neat about it. So, just think about family dinners at night or gathered around at holidays. I mean, that's where community is built. That's where relationships are formed. That's where memories are made. And so it's really neat to see how that has come together. And then the continual, like we said, when you're part of our collective, you have access to our platform behind the scenes online. So you can post all about your company, your business, podcasts that you like to listen to, resources. So from the business standpoint, that's all available to everybody year round.
Yeah. What would you say? First of all, how long has the collective been around?
1 year.
1 year.
It's only 1 year?
I know.
You guys do. I feel like it's been much longer. Okay. So 1 year, you guys are just rolling with this. I'm sure you've seen some like magical moments in the last 12 months. What are some highlights, if you will, that you've seen at some of your meetups?
I think, when women gather together and share truth, faith stories, tears are inevitable. So we've had a lot of deep moments where people walk in maybe carrying something. They walk in maybe feeling lonely, maybe feeling isolated, and they walk out of this space just feeling lighter, feeling more full of joy. And it's just beautiful to see. Just time and time again, God has brought people to the table that is like, they were here specifically to hear that part of that story. And so just to see those connections kind of create.
And at that moment when they speak, so every month a different member gets a chance to talk for about 10, 15 minutes to hear your story of, for example, you, Erin Kienzle, who you are. I mean, you have a huge following platform, but to hear who you are behind all that, because you are beautiful. You have a story and we can all learn from that and grow from it just as much as we learn and grow from your business and how you are, exceptional at what you do professionally, personally, what got you there. And there's growth in that. And that's something, I mean, the best words you can hear is, hey, me too.
Right.
And your shoulders drop, and it's encouraging. And so instantly, if I know somebody that needs something that you have to offer or our members have to offer, I think of you first.
Yeah.
And the business that has come from that authentically is genuine. And it's really neat to see who you are and who we all are on the inside, and having that vulnerability gains that instant trust.
In 1996, it was Southern Women to Women magazine. Now it's Charleston Women magazine. Charleston Women is all about strong, capable, confident, hardworking, nurturing, determined, dedicated, and inspiring women. Our readers are business owners, entrepreneurs, mothers, sisters, wives, and grandmothers. Pick up your copy of Charleston Women magazine at Charleston area Harris Teeters and Food Lions. Charleston Women magazine. We are Charleston Women.
You're listening to the Charleston Women podcast.
I think you just kind of answered my next question. So you're faith-based, but you're also business focused. So I was going to say, how would you say someone who is like, yes, I want to meet people, I want to connect. I love that it's faith-based, but I also need to like grow my business. But you're telling me that that's just happening organically in these conversations. Like you're not going and marketing yourself. You're like, oh, she's a photographer. She's an accountant. Like you're connecting people that way.
Yeah, so we don't have we have a no business card policy at the lunches, because you don't want to walk out of there with paper, right? You want to walk out of there with names and relationships that you've built. So we've seen members sit side by side at the table. One lady owns a cute little ice cream bike, and the lady next to her was planning her son's wedding. Well, guess what? She booked her for her son's wedding. And just that one little instance was just organic supporting of the other person's business. I mean, one lady owns a school here in town and sat next to an interior designer and was like, turns out I need an interior designer. We're moving our location. We're moving our campus, hired her for this massive project. And so we're just seeing all of that happen naturally after you've gotten to know somebody.
That's pretty cool. And then how is the faith brought in? Like, where does that kind of fall into your meetings?
Sure. So at each of our monthly lunches, for example, obviously we open up in prayer, scripture verse, people share their stories, and usually they, tie in their faith when it comes to that too. And we're all at different journeys in our faith. And some are newer to their faith. Some have been seasoned for many years, but there's no judgment. We're just here to encourage you where you're at in life. Some are going through struggles with kids, marriages, jobs. And it's, hey, I'm here to pray for you. Let me know what you need. I've got your back.
I love that. What would you say to someone who says, yes, this all sounds great, but I am not going to just show up by myself to this random group of women because that makes me extremely uncomfortable, right? Because it's hard sometimes.
Sure.
And I know you say you're very opening. I know you are, but what would you say to that person who's hesitant to get her to have the courage to step up and do this?
Sure. So we've had a lot of one-on-one phone calls. Here's my cell phone number. Give me a phone call and get to know me before you walk through the doors. So we do that. We did a virtual kind of Q&A where people got to just pop on a screen and get to know us before they come to the table. Because I get that, right? That social insecurity of I'm not going to know anybody, and they've been meeting for a little while. But I think, so that's number one, have a phone call with us. We would be happy to
absolutely
to loop you in. And I mean, immediately when we meet somebody, we're like, oh my goodness, you're going to love so-and-so. I can't wait to introduce you to so-and-so.
Or they walk in, it's like, oh, you're on my son's baseball team, And another makes me think of another thing too, Erin, is I don't own a business. I'm not an influencer. I'm not can I still join? Because we have a lot, and it's you're a mom, you're CEO of your household. So many women in that young professional or mom, or they just want a place to belong that's genuine. And it's been neat to see.
So, we literally have everyone from stay-at-home moms to multi-million-dollar CEOs, and to level the playing field and sit at a table and have a meal together. You never know what's going to happen.
That's pretty cool. I love that. I love that so much. Let's go back to the structure of your meeting. So where do you meet? I know you have lunch. Is it different every time? Give me all the details.
So most of our members right now are Mount Pleasant and Daniel Island. So we tend to kind of meet in between those two locations. Although we've got a handful of Somerville now, we've got a handful of Johns Island. And
Myrtle Beach.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We have a
Wow.
She comes down once a month, and she came to our big event on Daniel Island. So it's spreading, it's growing, and we're very excited.
So yeah, local restaurants around town. So we've met at Community Table, we've met at Savvy at Town Center, we've met at Daniel Island Club, we've met at
Kishi on Daniel Island,
New Realm on Daniel Island. So we just work with businesses to see if it makes sense for them to host us, because typically we have between 25 and 30 women at each lunch.
Yeah. So what's looking ahead? What type of, events and activities can we expect in the next 12 months?
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm already...
Stephanie just lit up. I can see that.
Katie's reining me in a little bit. But, our event last week, Tables of Change, where we partnered together with Star Gospel Mission, really just was amazing. And so it's neat to see how God is directing our steps. And we never want to do anything. It's not about Katie and I. It is about God first, the community, and pulling people together and making a difference in the lives of those women. So, I mean, there's lots of exciting things. I'm going to let her talk, because if I talk, I'll get in trouble.
You might reveal too much.
So one thing that we love to do is kind of ask our members, like, are you feeling like you want to step into something? So we've got a couple of things kind of launching in the fall as a response to that. But we had one lady step up and say, I just want to lead a Bible study. And so she just ran with it. And so we just kind of supported her in that. We've got a couple of ladies that are going to do virtual workshops through the Member Access Collective. And one's going to be on leadership and, maybe marketing or another topic kind of later on. So some of those things are already kind of happening and coming out now. And then the coffee events are just smaller, kind of more intimate gatherings where we do get to kind of pray over one another. So those are happening now, will continue happening. But yeah, we've got some ideas for a couple of big events and a couple of ways that we want to share members' stories a little bit better.
It's exciting.
That's exciting. How many members do you have?
Close to 50.
Oh, over 50, girl.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're approaching 60.
Good for you. So someone listening right now, or maybe they're watching this because it is also posted online, what would you say if she was like curious and says, I want to check it out?
Follow us on Instagram, all the socials, reach out to us directly, go to our website.
I remember so I owned my first brick and mortar when I was 20. And I remember my mom always saying it takes a village. And I remember looking around and being like, where's my village? Where are they? Are they going to just show up? Because they're not here. And so we are just hoping that Palmetto Women's Collective can kind of be that village for some women who are maybe sitting behind their computer right now or listening right now, just saying, man, I just feel lonely. I feel like I'm running this business by myself. I feel like it's an island. And I just want to share with some people, right? I want a tribe. I want a village.
Yeah. Before we go, you just tapped into you owned your first brick and mortar at 20. I'm really curious. I know a little bit of Stephanie's story, but Katie, both of you, we'll start with you, Katie. What's your background? What did you start with?
So out of college, I opened up the Paint and Sip Studios in South Florida alongside my mom and sister. So we ended up with 3 in Palm Beach County. And then I moved here about 5 years ago, started working with a local blog company, and then got involved with Mount Pleasant Magazine and Charleston Women Magazine, and just have kind of been like one thing after another. But my mom was an entrepreneur growing up, so I just saw it, and I think that it stuck with me.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, as you're very well aware of my background, just extensive presence with business development in the community and event space and bringing people together for large scale events. And, when we did those women's events, over the past several years, when we transitioned away from that and Katie and I got connected, we knew obviously our faith is very important to us. And we instantly became, very tight. And we said, we feel a calling on our heart to do this. And so it's just a great way to keep my arms around the community with Katie and really just provide an opportunity, for year-round engagement for women. So we're excited.
I mean, you and I have known each other since we were young.
20.
I say little, but we were way younger back then. But you've always, I feel like you're such a connector. That's the gift that you have. So it's no surprise that you've seen such success in the last 12 months. Again, you told people to follow you on social media. Can you say your website out loud one more time?
Yep. It's PalmettoWomen'sCollective.com.
Okay. And then when you join, is it just like one fee for all the membership, or do some people join for in person versus like the online portal? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So right now we have it as a monthly membership. We have it as a one-time fee, but we feel like this gives people a little bit more flexibility. So it's $27 a month. And over the course of 12 months, you have access to 4 lunches. And then any of the other events that we do, the Bible studies, the coffee, all of that is usually free. And then as a member, you have access to the collective, which is where they continue the conversation, the member databases, the prayer wall, all the extra
all those resources for your business, everything.
That's cool.
So you get both. Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, $27 a month. We spend more than that on a carton of eggs right now, right?
That's right.
Easy. Ladies, it has been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so, so much. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you'd like to add before we go?
I think we can't
wait to meet you guys.
I know. It's been a joy to sit back and watch you just grow, and just somebody that I obviously have looked up to as well. So I appreciate you and just look forward to you being part of our journey as well.
Yeah, can't wait to hang out. Ladies, again, it's the PalmettoWomen'sCollective.com to go for more information. And this has been the Charleston Women Podcast.
Thanks for spending time with Charleston Women Podcast. Please like us and follow us on whatever platform you're using to access Charleston Women Podcast.